So we're very fortunate to have a real designer sketchbook here. So this actually belongs to a real designer who designs products, which I'll have examples of this separately in a PowerPoint somewhere. But they're award-winning arms for holding computer monitors on a work desk, so you can move your computer monitor around. So there are a couple of key things I'd like you to take from this. First of all, as we go through, as we page through, you'll see, number one, no rubbing out. Number two, no rulers. Now please note, this is initial designing and developing ideas, that iterative design process of version 1, version 2, or version 1, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, where you can see playing around with different ideas until you end up with your final idea. Now please note, if a designer wants neat work, they'll use CAD. So this is a CAD drawing of one of his ideas where he was playing around with the mechanism. This is the kind of accuracy that would be done on a computer. So use a computer for accuracy, but use a pencil or a pen and your imaginative brain and a sketchbook just for getting ideas out. Now, interestingly, this designer, his daughter is one of my students, and the daughter actually said that he's got these spread all over the house, and when he repeatedly, sort of all over, throughout the day, might say, "Oh, I've got an idea. I want to quickly, do a sketch," and he'll get his sketchbook out or fetch a sketchbook, and he'll just sketch an idea out to get it on paper and just play around. Okay. Famously, if I remember correctly, there's a story about the original Crystal Palace, the big building up in Crystal Palace that burned down in the 30s, where if I remember correctly, it was Joseph Paxton, but if my history is wrong, my apologies. But if I remember correctly, he was at dinner and he had this idea, and he got a napkin and he drew the first picture of the Crystal Palace on a napkin because the idea was important, not perfection. So no ruler, no rubber, and there's only one thing which is lacking, right? And that is notes. Now, you would have annotation to justify your design decisions, to explain, for example, how this idea led to this idea, which led to that idea, but that was a failure. So this idea, why was it a failure? This idea is a modification of that one, and then this was playing around, and then this was idea 1.1, which led to idea 2, for example. Now, as a professional designer, you don't need to have that theatricality to prove your thought processes, because ultimately the final product will prove your thought processes. As a student designer, you need to be able to justify your design decisions and explain the story of how this all goes through. So have a look. You'll see. So this is just a little sketching pen, A, B. Now we get a little bit more detailed. But again, it's very sketchy, it's very loose, playing around with different shapes. You can see the relationship between these. He's playing around with mechanisms of how it might move. Now, I'm not even sure what all of this is, but that doesn't matter. You can see he's playing around with shapes. Now it starts to get a bit more developed. We see this looks like a sideways view as an end elevation, I think. And then we have a little mechanism which is starting to be developed. Here we see some 3D drawing where we can actually see the computer screen and such like, and we've got a couple of mechanisms, but look how loose and free and relaxed it is. We've got some 3D tables, but most of this is just sketching out. Now, you won't be able to use as much space as this because your folder has a limit of pages. That's true. However, we start to see more sort of accuracy, and like for example, if you look at that page over there, you can start to see that those little squiggly ideas have started to actually coalesce into slightly more complex. And I think, let's just see, I think I'll finish on this page over here, and you can see that this page has got that final design. And the importance of this page is that it looks very cool. Now, if somebody said, sketch like a designer, I'd show them this page. They'd go, oh, wow, look at that. It looks so kind of creative and flowing and playing. But this wouldn't have happened without this squiggly stuff. And I'm pretty sure that if you showed somebody that, they wouldn't go, oh, wow, that's amazing design sketching. Yeah? But if you showed them that, they'd go, oh, yeah, that's clearly a product of some kind. But you don't get this without the early stuff. So I urge you, in your designing, to take some messages here, a takeaway from this professional designer. Right, number one, keep it loose, keep it relaxed. Don't look for perfection when you're playing around with ideas to try and make them a reality. Number two, don't use a ruler, don't use a rubber. If you want to be super neat, that's when you use CAD, computer-aided design. Okay, if you want to do beautiful rendering, that's when you use CAD, computer-aided design. So no ruler, no rubber, use pencil, use pen. Now the only thing that's lacking is annotations, and I think for you, little pictures of your inspiration to link ideas in. But I hope this is helpful to you, so the next time your teacher tells you not to be a perfectionist and to be as creative as possible, and just go for it. I would suggest that in order for you to take design risks like this, and just be really creative without a fear of failure, if an idea is 99% rubbish, but 1% good or interesting, just put it on paper. What's the worst that could happen? You've got an idea that doesn't quite work, but you can say, I really like the shape, even though the rest of it doesn't meet the specification. And that shape could be moved to your next idea or your next iteration. Enjoy your designing because it's fun, it's playful. I hope this is helpful to you.